More to marketing.
Welcome to More to Marketing, the podcast that explores marketing, product, and everything business. I'm your host, Susan Walsh, and today we're talking about a very interesting topic that I'm actually really interested to learn more about, which is the longevity advantage, how leader health shapes customer experience. Today's guest is Dr. Sandra, and I'm going to hopefully get this right, Kaufermann, but everyone forgive me if I said that wrong, particularly if you're German, a pioneering physician, cellular biologist, and longevity expert who has dedicated her career to helping people extend their health span, not just their lifespan. Now, that's a really important difference there, everyone. She is the creator of the Kaufman protocol and the Kaufman rating system, two evidence-based frameworks that break aging down into 7 core cellular factors, which sounds very fancy, and I cannot wait to dive into this. And then also map out practical strategies to slow that process at a molecular level. Sandra is the founder of the Kaufman Longevity, where she works with patients around the world on personalising longevity plans. So this is about leveraging everything from targeted supplements to cutting-edge regenerative therapies. She has many books and she has clinical work and is known for translating that dense biology into something clear with usable tools that help people actually protect their energy, resilience, and long-term performance. She's been recognized as a leading voice in longevity medicine, and she's also a regular guest on all different podcasts and events around the world about health and biohacking stages, which I found really interesting as well, that there are so many people out there so interested in this topic and how to help their health. Today, we're going to tap into this expertise and explore how science-driven approaches to aging can actually help us, 1, be better in our work, 2, be better leaders, and 3, make our everyday lives even better. Welcome, Sandra.
Hi, it is fantastic to be here. Thank you.
I am really interested in this. I think it's absolutely fabulous. I would love you to tell us how you got here today and why you decided to specialize in this particular field.
Well, I decided to do this from a completely selfish point of view, right? No one wants to age. And when I hit the ripe old age of 45, I decided I was going to fix this. I started life in the science world as a cell biologist, and I went to med school thereafter when cells don't really pay bills, as was pointed out by my father. Did some general surgery, did some neurosurgery, ended up in anesthesia, ended up as a pediatric anesthesiologist. And what all of those things teach you is a hell of a lot about disease, death, progression of disease, how the body works, how drugs affect the body, so on and so forth. So it's this huge sort of mishmash of scientific information. And again, when I hit 45, I thought, this is for the birds. I do not want to age. And everyone has particular gifts. And my gift is persistence and organization. So I threw myself into scientific literature to try to understand why cells age, and then organize all of those factors, and then come up with strategies to sort of defeat those.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. And the amount of experience you had in all those different fields in medicine really must have been quite eye-opening along the way when you had those aha moments.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. And they all teach you something, right? You know, general surgery is really interesting. You look inside of people's bodies and you understand organs and how organs communicate with each other, right? All the like the various systems and such. And then when you get to, I did a year of brain trauma, and it is devastating when you have any neurologic disease, just absolutely devastating, right? But then you add all of that to the idea that we are all cells and cell products. You can actually sort of figure out, by taking care of your cells, how to defeat, or at least decelerate, all of the aging processes. Because essentially, aging is cellular failure, right?
Interesting.
And cells fail for lots of reasons. And that's what the seven categories, or what I call the seven tenets of aging, are. It's cellular categories.
Mm,
And they sound a little overwhelming, but if you kind of can verbalize them, you can kind of defeat them. And the reason that all of this is important is that number one, as you get older, right, you actually start aging by the time you're 35. You throw kids and life and school and stress on there, and the whole system accelerates. And then by the time you're sort of where you need to be in business, you're in your mid 40s, early 50s, and you are at the peak of your career, but your health is starting to fail. And then by the time you're 60, you know everyone in the system, right? You know the presidents, and you know the people opposing companies, and you know your stuff. Your wisdom is high, but your health is now failing. This is when people start having heart attacks and neurologic issues and strokes and all that kind of thing. So the thought in terms of business is, number one, let's give you more energy at your peak to make your peak even better. But then let's keep that peak going as long as possible so you get to utilize all the wisdom that you have accrued for longer, making you even more successful. So there's
mm.
lots of ways to look at this.
Yeah, that's so fascinating as well, because we know that if we go back to our most recent president in America, Biden, one of the biggest things that was being reported in the news here was about that he might not have the same mental capacity that he had when he first went into office at the very end of his office. And he is an older president.
Mhm.
So it's a really interesting concept that we can look after our bodies better to be able to have better facilities going into those bigger ages.
Yeah, just think, had he been on a longevity protocol, right,
Mm,
and he would have done better and not walked away from the election, the United States would be a very, very different place right now. So
yeah,
this is potentially, you know, world history altering.
it is. It's fascinating. Now let's go back a step to help the listeners understand. So for people who don't know or haven't come across your type of field, are you able to explain what maybe go the elevator pitch? What is the longevity doctor doing,
Mhm.
and how can we let everyone know that in a really simple way?
Okay. Well, let me describe it this way. I think of medicine or healthcare in today's world on three different tiers. Tier one is what we're all pretty much used to. This is standard stuff, right? You have a symptom, you go to your doctor, you get a diagnosis, and they treat you, right? It could be high blood pressure, it could be a thyroid problem, it could be, I have appendicitis, whatever it is. But medicine is reactive, right? You have a problem and then we fix it, okay?
Yeah.
And this is 99% of medicine. Tier two is what people call functional medicine. And this is the idea that you could be more proactive. So they test for more things. Do you have mold exposure? Do you have Lyme's disease? Do you need your toxins cleared out? That sort of thing, right?
Yep.
Longevity medicine is tier three. And this is the idea that we know why you are decelerating over time. I could point to 27 different reasons that you are failing or why you are failing. And the good news is we can fix them before they occur, right?
Wow.
So longevity medicine is completely proactive. We generally do not wait for you to get a problem. We know it's coming. So let's just avoid it in the first place. That's
Mm.
longevity medicine.
Yeah, that's fascinating as well, because it's all based on data that you've been collecting and seen in all the research and everything as well. So it's not just finger in the sky like some Australian GPs do. Not sure
Yeah,
about
no, no, no.
American GPs, but this is actually based on, I'm assuming you sit down with people, you do a whole pile of tests, but you already know from research what could there be as well to help.
Right. So we know. Let me do this. Let me breeze through the seven tenets so people have some idea of what I'm talking about. And
Yep.
I promise not to go too deep because it does get a little like a little
Is
biology-ish.
it is this the Kaufman protocol?
So these are the seven tenets of aging. This is
Okay.
why you age.
Okay.
Okay. Tenet one is things that go wrong in your DNA.
Yep.
Simple enough. Telomeres get shorter. Epigenetic changes, heterochromatin distribution. Again, you don't need to know the big words. DNA problems. That's
Yep.
one. Two is mitochondrial problems. Mitochondria, we all learned in the fifth grade, these are the little organelles that make energy,
Mm.
right? They also make heme for your red cells. They control calcium homeostasis. They do a bunch of things. But mitochondria fail for 7 reasons as you get older. Some reasons are easy to fix and some reasons are a little harder to fix. But you ask why people are tired, it's mitochondrial failure. They just don't have the energy. That's an easy one,
Mm.
right? Three is what I call pathways. There are pathways that control your cellular homeostasis, right? And so the first pathway, they're the sirtuins, and you have 7 mammalian sirtuins. And again, this is all they live in your cells. Sirtuin 1 controls if you're going to make free radical scavenging agents. It controls circadian rhythms. It controls where you store your fats. It controls pretty much everything. And sirtuins are like on-off switches. So it's on when you're young, and it sort of gets turned off as you get old. And you're like, well, now all these good things are out the window. So that's kind of sad. Circadian rhythms are another pathway, right? You don't have problems going to sleep as you're older because you watch too much TV or you're worried about whatever. It's all biologic. There are two proteins that put you to sleep. There are two proteins that wake you up, and there are two proteins that change the vacillation of the wave. And all of that is under the umbrella of sirtuins, NAD, and a few other things. So if you are not biologically optimized, you're not going to sleep. That's just the way that it is. Anyway, okay, that's pathways. Four is quality control. And this is the idea that you have errors in your DNA that you have to fix. You have errors in your proteins that you need to fix. And if you can't, then you recycle them, and that's called autophagy. Simple stuff. Five is your immune system that becomes your inflammasome over time. And we all know that as you get older, you get more and more inflamed. And inflammatory factors, I know, it's sad, come
That is
from
very sad.
new, she made a sad face for those of you that are listening. But it comes from lots of places. So your immune system, number one, there's cells called mast cells, and they release inflammatory factors all the time. There's things called senescent cells that release inflammatory factors. As people make more fat instead of muscle, fat has its own special kind of adipocytokinins, and that's inflammatory. So inflammation is one of the big things that'll get you over time. Let's see, that's five. So where were we? Oh yeah, six.
Six.
Six is individual cell needs. And this is the idea that you want to protect your stem cells and you want to get rid of your senescent cells, and that a red cell has slightly different requirements than a brain cell or liver cell. And then lastly is what I call waste management. And the big thing in this category is glucose. And
Mm.
and it's not just glucose, it's all the reducing sugars, but we'll just nail glucose up there, on the cross just to take the blame. Um,
Yep. We can target it. It's good.
yeah, right. Um, Glucose gets broken down in your body by a bunch of enzymes, and it turns into these little pieces. And these pieces are very sticky, and they glue onto your DNA, your proteins, your lipids, and they're basically called AGEs, advanced glycation end products. And when a glob glues onto a protein, it just loses ability to do anything. So you just destroyed a hell of a lot of tissues. Anyway,
Wow.
so soup to nuts, that's why you age. And the idea is if you can, at the very least, hit the lowest hanging fruit in each of the categories, you're just going to do significantly better,
I
right?
love this. I think this, thank you for sharing that because I know it's quite sciencey, but it's also basic enough for us to get a good grasp of all the different pieces in those seven that add up to factoring into why people's health isn't always optimal.
Yeah. And it's funny, you don't see it from day to day, right? This is another question I get. Well, when will I be younger? And the answer is, I don't know, right? I don't know. Yeah. And it's not tomorrow, it's not the next day. But what actually happens is some things do, in fact, get better. They really do. But what happens more importantly is that you just don't get worse as quickly.
Mm,
So my kids always kill me because they don't know when to celebrate my birthday. Because I tell them for every year, I'm actually only gaining 9 to 10 months, right?
that's
So
very confusing for them.
right? They're like, ooh, what month do we buy her a present? Ooh, I'm like, anytime is good. But The idea is that like you can't tell the difference between today, tomorrow, and next week necessarily, right? But if you step ahead a few years and you could control, like yourself and your future you would see a dramatic difference.
Mm,
You are going to be better. And even better than that is if you go and you spend some time with like your friends that have not done longevity, the difference is astronomical.
mm. Yeah, and I can definitely see how that makes a huge difference as well. Also for your mental health, because a lot of this would have a lot to do with mental health as well to make you feel better so that you wanting to contribute and do more for your longevity as well.
Oh no, it is absolutely a upward cycle, right? We make your brain better, right? We
Mm.
make you feel better, and
Yep.
then maybe you go out and you exercise some more, and then you feel good about yourself, and then your brain is clearer, and then it's just zoop 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 zoop, and the better you feel, the more enthusiastic you are. So all the options of life are just it's just significantly more than what they would have been without.
Yeah. No. Tell us now about the Kaufman protocol. Um,
Aha,
I
aha.
I know this is your absolute specialty, so I'd love to know what is it and why is it so important as well.
So the protocol is a compilation of taking the seven tenets, right? And then applying the rating system to get a personalized program.
Yep.
And I'm going to explain that. So we now have the seven tenets. Now, how do you know what to take, what to do, right? That's the question. And so through all of my research, I would stumble upon all of these molecular agents, and it would say, ah, yes, it's good for this. It's kind of
Mhm.
good for that, maybe not so good for the other, right?
Mhm.
And so I started with these charts with pluses and minuses. I'm like, this is kind of nuts. So what I ended up doing, because it gets got to be a little bit nuts or out of control, really, I would take whatever molecular agent I was looking at. And I would ask the question, how do we know what it does in a cell? And I would spend a tremendous amount of time researching all of this. And so let's just say Agent X, whatever it is, what does it do in your DNA? And it did absolutely nothing. It got a zero.
Mhm.
If it was evidence that it did something pretty good in a test tube or a culture or just was a brilliant idea, it would get a one.
Mhm.
If there was proven evidence in a non-human mammal model, it
Yep.
would get a two. And if we had solid evidence in humans, it would get a three.
Yep.
And I do this for the same agent in all of the seven categories, right? So now we're looking at numbers. So, you would look at, I don't know, like carnosine, astaxanthin, whatever. It'd be like 3.2.1.0 dot this, dot that, right? Because sometimes we know really well that something does something. Sometimes we've never even looked at it, so it gets a low score. And sometimes you go, well, we think it might, don't really know. But anyway,
Yep.
because different agents are different and such different categories are covered more effectively by different agents, right? So now you're staring at a numerical grid. So picture 60 agents, and I've also done 13 pharmaceuticals, and it's all numbers. So now you can rationally decide what you want to take for your protocol. So for example, if first thing you said to me was, wow, my energy levels,
Mhm.
right? I would go and I would pick all of the agents that had threes in the mitochondrial category because we know that there's human evidence that it works, and
Mhm.
generally they're very synergistic,
Yep. Makes
right?
complete sense.
So that would be your protocol. If someone was very, very diabetic or their family had diabetes, you would pick a lot of points in the waste management category,
Mhm.
right? Alternatively, if you just wanted a well-rounded program, right? Then you pick things such that the numbers are sort of equivalent in each of the categories. So basically, the protocol takes a complete guessing game and makes it an educated algorithm to help
Mm.
people. That's what it is.
I love that. And
Oh,
it sounds so simple, but it isn't. There's so much behind it that got there. But
oh, you.
I can. How many years have you been doing medicine? Plus
Oh
everyone else
God.
that's contributed towards what the research and everything too.
No,
It's
it's just me. Well, the research is just me. I have an assistant who does, I don't know, appointments and all
Yep.
that, deals with people and blah, blah, blah. But all of the research and all the writing is mine.
Fantastic. I love that. That's just shows how much passion you have from when you discovered this and you could help people in the gap in the market. It and I love that what you've created is something that is simple, that you have already gone through those seven, identified what can help, and have got the facts behind it. Now, for a listener who is feeling tired or overwhelmed, or maybe a bit overworked at some stages, some people feel that. What's the first step that they should be taking towards their journey of longevity and performance so they can do things for longer and feel better for longer?
Okay, so excellent question. So I don't always just jump to supplements. So I will tell you that I create what I call longevity pyramids for people. Okay.
Yep.
And it starts out, the bottom of the pyramid are things that you do every day.
Makes
And then
sense.
the next layer is things that you do every week. And then things that you do every month, and so on and so forth, right?
Yep.
So the bottom tier starts out most basically with diet and exercise, right?
Yep.
You have to have appropriate nutrients. And so one of the first questions I always ask is, are you on any funky diets, right? Because someone that's a vegetarian isn't going to have appropriate nutrients. Someone that's one of those complete carnivores is, I believe in moderation and balance, because as you get
Yes.
older, you become micronutrient deficient, depending on where you live and what you choose to eat. And then if you add some sort of, odd thing on top of that, and vegetarians will be mad, they're like, it's not odd. Fine. But they're still missing pieces and parts. So you need to make sure you have a
There's
well-rounded diet.
protein's missing there for sure. Yeah.
Well,
You,
there's a lot
you,
of
you,
protein per se, but there's not specific agents. So, as my big example is usually carnosine. It is a naturally acting dipeptide, and it is in muscle of things that you eat, especially like chicken and turkey.
Mhm.
And it's a transglycosylating agent, and it goes to your own muscle when you eat it, and it blocks acid production. So if you're exercising hard and you wake up the next day and your muscle kind of hurts, like if you take this, you don't. So that's kind of cool.
Mm.
Um, but we all have it in our bodies, but as you get older, you have less, and women naturally have less than men. And vegetarians have very little because they don't eat any, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's a lot of people that are on these newfangled carnivorous diets and they just eat a steak every night, which sounds delicious, except right, their lipids are out of control and then their iron balance is way off. And so every weird diet comes with issues. So first, number one, well-balanced diet, right?
Yep.
Two, exercise. Most people talk about two types of exercise. I talk about three types of exercise. So cardiovascular is super important, right? We need to get your heart rate up and get all the blood through all of your blood vessels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We all know that that's good for you. And then, of course, there's muscle building. We
Yep.
know that as you get older, it's harder to make and keep muscle. Frailty is extremely important as you get older because it leads to death if you're too frail. And if you don't start young, it's just really, really hard. The other thing that's key, especially in older women, is osteoporosis.
Mm.
And so people love to do these cutesy little floaty exercises, right? And their heart rate is going up, but they're not pounding. And pounding activates bone growth.
Interesting.
So you have to somehow, if you can, put pressure on your bones, right? Jumping rope or even without the rope, because inevitably I'm going to, I trip. So I just literally stand in the gym and bounce up and down looking like a lunatic. And people are like, you want me to get your rope? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. Just bouncing or jumping or something without those super duper padded sneakers, because the whole point is to pound. Anyway, those are the three types of exercise that I talk about. And then we go into supplements. And the question about supplements is harder because it's going to be different depending on who you are and how old you are, right? You start aging at about 35. So there's a set of things that you need at 35. There's a set of things that you need at 40 and 45 and so on and so forth. I mean, there's some things that everyone can take, but then there's some things that you need to be specialized, right? And then there's medications. It's what I find humorous is so people are absolutely opposed to medications. They're like, oh, I need to get off these drugs. And I'm like, ooh, more drugs. I take 13, I guess, pharmaceuticals at the moment for diseases that I do not have because I'm blocking getting these diseases, which sounds sort of nuts, but it's absolutely true.
It's no
Um,
different to like, it's just preventative, right? This is the whole point. It's not being reactive, it's preventative.
exactly. In fact, it was really funny. I was at some conference and I was sitting there with my little bowl of drugs, and some lady is trying to be very nice. And she sits down, she's like, "Well, I'm glad you're at this longevity conference. We'll get you off those drugs in no time." And then I go, "Yeah, I don't know if that's really why I'm here." And then I got up and spoke at the conference.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh,
Oopsie.
yeah, did not go as
But
planned."
she was there at the right place then to learn.
Yes, yes, yes. It was just really funny. She was like so convinced she was going to help me. And I thought that was just really, really funny. Like, it's a kind-hearted soul. But anyway, so other things on the day-to-day list, there's the light therapies, there's the cold baths, there's the saunas, all of those things if people want to torture themselves. But then there's other things you can do, right? So once a week, people love this one. I think everyone should have a full body massage.
Ooh,
And,
why
and
is
the
that?
reason because you're increasing blood flow to skin and muscles.
Hmm.
And it's also reducing stress.
But what if you're someone like me and I hate being touched? I don't like
Then go
masseuses.
to the psychiatrist before. It just really helps as you get older, right? Like when you're young and your skin is nice and healthy, it's just the blood flow drops unless it's poked and prodded.
Hmm. Does physio
I don't,
count?
yeah, probably. It just be anything to get blood flow
All right,
to,
tick.
you know,
My legs are fine then. It's the rest of me.
we can work on this. We can work on this. It's so funny. My mom hated massages too, and I'm like, but they're so good. Okay, and then lastly, like at least in the standard stuff, monthly to quarterly, I recommend that people get exosome infusions.
Ooh, what's that?
So exosomes they're called biologics. It's a category that they are in, and they get an exosome. Actually, every cell in your body makes exosomes. That these little sort of bubbles or lipid bilayer bubbles. They're exuded by a cell, exo, meaning out of the cell, exosome. And I'm sorry, they contain like growth factors, RNA, a little bit of DNA, and they're messages, right? So they're messages from whatever cell is sending it out to some receiver cell. And if you get these from very young tissues, these messages are very young, and they're telling your body to be younger, rejuvenate, regenerate, et cetera, et cetera. So if you get exosomes from perifetal companies, meaning it's usually from cord or placenta or amniotic fluid, as an example, so these companies will get the stem cells from those tissues, milk out the exosomes, freeze them, and sell them to providers. And when we put them in people, their tissues regenerate.
Because they're
So
young.
yeah, because they're getting young messages, right?
Yeah.
So if I do a lot of, you can do like independent areas or you can do full body treatments. So if someone has a shoulder problem or an elbow problem, or they want to grow their hair, or they want facial rejuvenation, you just stick them locally. Or if you just want body rejuvenation, you stick them in your IV.
So these are like little micro needles or something?
No, 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 no. It comes in the little tiny vial, right, of concentrated fluid,
Yeah.
and you sort of dilute it up, and then you just put it in an IV.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. I've never
yeah,
heard of this one. Interesting. Thank you for sharing.
yeah, of course. I give exosomes to myself every month. And this is mostly why I have in-person clinic because you can't do it online. And it's so popular. We even have my partner and I have something called Club Exosome, and this meets in Las Vegas. So if you want to take a trip around the world, we meet quarterly, and longevity people come together, and I inject them with a ton of exosomes because they're hard to get. They're hard to get, so we provide that service, and it's fun.
Amazing. Well, it'd be great to just get together in Las Vegas as well. You can have some fun afterwards
Yes,
because you
yes.
feel young and you can actually stay out longer and have fun.
Well, it's really funny. Speaking of that, there's this in Miami. I have this couple, and they're Canadians. I want to say that I think they're from Toronto, but they are funny as hell. They're in their 70s and they are partiers, like serious partiers. And so quarterly, they fly down to Miami. They go on some wild drinking booze cruise, get far too much sun damage, and then show up in my office and they're like, fix us. They're like, and I do. And
I
then
love
they
it.
leave. And we do it over and over and over again. It's hysterical.
Oh, I love that. That is so much fun. That sounds, imagine everyone being able to do that. That would be magical.
Right? It'd be amazing. I like it. It's actually shocking to me that more people don't know about exosomes.
Mm,
It really is. They're not FDA regulated for anything except for
yeah.
topical use. So, the FDA might be angry at me. So we have big, giant consent forms and we don't really advertise for it, but everyone in the longevity world knows about exosome.
Yeah. And I think from like my point of view, it's you hear about people like animals eating placentas, humans wanting to put placentas into tablets. So it's not unheard of. It's just more of the I suppose longevity piece of it putting in an IV.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm an anesthesiologist, so I put IVs in people all day anyway. So, and people are always upset. It takes me literally about a minute and a half to put an IV in, give them their exosomes and pull it out. And then they just look disappointed because they're like, but I flew here from Canada. I'm like,
They're like,
sorry.
really? Is that it? Finish?
Like, that's it? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I'm having other flashbacks of other medical procedures.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's right. I'm just thinking like even if it things like you think like I've gone through IVF. So IVF is just as quick when they're putting the embryos in for you. It is wham bam goodbye. And you think it's gonna be like this longer process. Like, but no, so quick. So interesting. Very interesting. So our steps should be every day, look at weekly, look at monthly. That's the starting point.
Yep. Yep. And you start with the easiest stuff. Start with diet, exercise, and then move along to other fun stuff.
Fantastic. Now, if you were going to have a billboard somewhere, like maybe even a sign at the front of everyone's office for all the office workers to see, what would that sign say for simple things that they should just do every day in the office?
That's a good question. Um,
Should they stay away from the coffee machine? I don't know if that's good or bad
no,
in a
no, no,
diet
no,
scheme.
no. Actually, well, no, coffee is interesting. Coffee is actually extremely good for you. Coffee has something called chlorogenic acid in it, and it is incredibly good for longevity. So they can drink as much coffee as they want. Unfortunately, in Miami, where I live, people drink Cuban coffee, and it's like coffee on steroids. It's like drinking liquid mud that's massively caffeinated. And that, honestly, I think that people give people a heart attack. So I don't know if that's for you.
So we'll
But
say
coffee,
normal everyday coffee there.
normal everyday coffee is very good. That's fine. Maybe stay away from the donuts in the workroom, and the other thing is just not being sedentary all the time, right?
Mm.
People should just move around.
Yeah. Get that little bit of walking around throughout the office, like shake it out. Like I go around and I actually do stretches when I go to people's desks. And
Oh, nice.
at first they looked at me like I was weird. I'm like, no, I'm doing my calf stretches. And now they're all used to it. And some of them join in with me.
Oh, nice. Nice. That's really funny.
I do love
Well,
it.
it's funny. I do. My longevity office in Miami is based in a plastic surgery office, and all of the women in there are already stunningly beautiful. So, and if they jumped up and down, they might, break their boobs. I don't actually know.
Yeah, knock their eyes out.
But
Yes.
yeah, but they're in fairly good shape, so I don't think they need to do a whole lot of anything other than like keep drinking their coffee and stay away from donuts.
Yep. I love that. Simple signs, just everyday incremental work on that, just be in the moment as well. Now, I'm going to ask you my final question. And my final question that I ask everybody is what brand, any brand in the world, best represents you and why?
Oh gosh. Represents me.
Yes.
I honestly don't think there is one.
Is there a few that maybe help you be multi-personality?
As a longevity physician, right? There are a couple people out there, and I don't really think that I am like any of them,
Mhm.
right? The
I
Peter
like that.
Attias of the world. I don't, or David Sinclair, all those guys, like, I just don't agree with their philosophies.
Yep.
They provide longevity medicine to the very, very wealthy, and I'm more into democratizing longevity.
Hmm.
So that would be different.
Yep.
Um,
So it's your own brand then.
it is definitely my own brand. And to that end, for example, we just put it, well, it was out before. I had to take it down for some legal reasons, and now it's going to be back bigger and better than ever before. My daughter, who's a biomedical engineer, helped me make the algorithm of what to take even better. And we put the app up actually today so that anyone can go on my website. I don't know what the cost was, whatever it was, it's just the cost of production. And they can figure out what they need to take. So, I'm
Amazing.
really trying to democratize this as much as possible. Well, I do wealthy clients, of course. But it's not the game of wealthy. It should be the game for everybody. So I don't think I am like anybody else.
I love that. I love that answer. It's absolutely unique and completely on your brand. Now,
It is. You would think I would make more money since it's my own brand, but I haven't done that yet.
hey, you have added how much time to your life now? You have the time.
I have so much time. It is amazing.
I love I love it. I'm just going to do a very quick recap and then throw it to
Yeah.
you to add anything extra. So today we were talking to our specialist in longevity, particularly about how we could help ourselves every day to um, not just live longer, but feel better and be able to be more mentally in the moment, be able to still get around and have more fun for longer. Because this helps not just our careers, but also our life. And that's where the mental piece comes in. I think it was absolutely fantastic having this discussion because we really learnt that anybody can start this today. It does not matter what age you are. If you are 22, if you are 52, if you are 102, you can start today and it will make an impact. It might not be tomorrow, give it a few weeks, but you will start feeling a difference and it will help you to be able to do more, feel more, and be present in the moment. I'm going to say more. Now, the thing that I thought was great is you've got the three areas you can start with, which is you've got your BAU that you're doing all the time, and that might be with your doctor, that might be just getting help, but that's all reactive. Then you've got functional medicine and everything. We spoke a little bit about that, but the third level for me with that longevity, it's all the proactive. It's looking of going, I don't want to have this issue in the future. How can I try and reduce my joints being sore in 20 years? What can I do today to help prevent that and push it out further and further down the path? And everyone can benefit from this. A completely different example I can give in my own personal life is my teeth. I inherited teeth from my parents that I will call crater teeth. And that means that you literally have a crater in the middle of your teeth, and that's very easy not to be able to brush properly, and you have to get fillings. So at a very young age, when I was 18, and I got my first paychecks from my first big job, the first thing I did was I went in and I got 12 fillings. That sounds like a lot, but I'm knocking on wood right now. It has been many decades, and I have not had to have a filling. I'm probably due for one now because it's been decades, and I emphasize that. So by being proactive, you're not being reactive in the moment, going, "Oh, sugar doodle dandies, I need to have 5 fillings." So imagine if you put that into practice for everything in your life to be able to help. Now we went through the 7 tenets. So my version of the 7 tenets is you've got your DNA, energy, pathways, quality control, your immune system, individual cell needs, and waste management. And they're all part of the pieces that you can look at to help your body. Now, some people will need help with all, some with some. Think of it like a smorgasbord. Sometimes it might be better to look at it as an overall, how can I help everything in a little bit? Because eventually all things will need a little bit of help. We're not perfect. We are cells. Cells change all the time. So we need to make sure that we look at that more probably holistically. But if you do have a major issue, you can hone in on those too, which was really cool to hear about in some of the therapies you can do. And that's when we talked about the protocol that our amazing guest today, Sandra, has actually created. And it's personalized. So she calls it the longevity pyramid. And it's the starting off blocks on how you can use those 7 tenets to help you. So think of it kind of like the old school food pyramid where you want to do the most at the bottom. And that's going to be your everyday daily activities. So eating good, but you can still cheat a little bit here and there. Like, we are human. I don't know about donuts, but maybe a little chocky bar every so often as my reward. Exercising, putting in more exercise here and there where you can. Like I gave the example of I do stretches at work when I'm at people's desks talking to them, because otherwise I'm just standing there. So those little incremental things can help. You've got your cardio exercise, your muscular building, and also your pounding. Pounding was really interesting because that helps you with osteoporosis in the future by getting your bones, I suppose, and I'll get corrected later, I'm sure, more in tune with being moving and making sure that they're not going to deteriorate at a quicker method, particularly for females. There's also other things in the weekly category, that bottom of the pyramid, things like supplements, medication, light therapy, saunas, and cold baths. You will not catch me in a cold bath, but I did gift them to my friends. But they're things that may help you depending on you. Because remember, this is individual. Not everyone has to do this. It's individual basis. And then you move up the pyramid to your weeklies. Your weeklies, one of the recommendations was a full body massage, so you can get all of your body moving so that your blood flow is moving better and your muscles are moving and all your nerves are moving as well as part of those massages. That makes a huge difference for the circular motion. And then at the top of the pyramid, there are things you don't do as often, but they are important. So that could be monthly or quarterly or whatever your protocol individually ends up being. But they could be this really cool thing called exosome exclusions. I probably got that very wrong, but it's all about bringing back in the young, I don't think it's DNA, but those young receptors to teach your body to be young again, so the old ones go bye-bye. I like that. Goodbye, bye-bye, old ones. But what I loved about our discussion today was there are things that you can do. You don't have to be overwhelmed. You don't have to be anxious. You don't have to wait. There are small changes that you can do every single day that can help you feel better. And I would recommend making a diary, just a quick little diary note to know when you're starting to make these changes and then look back. So if you change your exercise, put it in your diary. Say today, Susan starts exercising, she starts doing X, Y, Z. And then make a note in how I feel. How is my energy levels, everything like that. And then make a note in my diary in a month's time to do the same exercise again of the diary and see how it's changed. And see how you're feeling and how your energy is going and everything. Because that's the best way to be able to see these small changes take effect. Otherwise, you're going to give up, and we don't want to do that. We want to be able to make those big decisions in the boardroom. We want to be able to be clear-minded and feel good when we're in our 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. If we decide to keep working, we don't want our body failing on us. We want it to be just as sharp as our mind. Sandra, let me know how my roundup was, and please add anything extra.
So I have to say it was pretty damn good. You're hired. The only thing I will tell you is that the word is exosomes.
Yeah.
And exosomes aren't exactly at the top of the pyramid. Like, there are other things you can do, but just for the sake of argument, like no one here is going to go get plasmapheresis or a variety of other things. But you'll laugh. At the tip top of my actual pyramid, I put cryogenics
Ooh.
because I figure that by the time you've gotten to the point that you've done everything else and you're still going to die, you might as well freeze your body just in case.
Yeah, a Walt Disney, do the head. Yep.
Right, right, right. But you only get one shot at freezing your head,
Mm,
right? So that's why it's going to sit at the top of the pyramid.
yep.
You get one. You get once.
I love it. Fantastic. Thank you so, so much. Now, can you please tell everyone how to get in touch with you, how to learn more? Let us know where to go.
Sure. So I actually have two websites. One is more informational, and that is the kaufmanprotocol.com. Explains the seven tenets. It explains the number system. That's where the quiz is and some paraphernalia if you need anything. And then if you actually want to see me as a client, that website is kaufmanlongevity.com.
Fantastic.
Let's see. Other than that, the only social media I do is Instagram, and it's Kaufman Longevity. Not very
I,
clever.
I will, well, no, it makes it easy. That you don't want clever, you want people to find you. So that's perfect. I'll make sure that these are all added into the show notes so that everyone can click on those and come through to you. But thank you so much again for your time, Sandra. I found this absolutely fascinating. I'm going to be doing a whole pile of takeaways from this. For everybody else, please don't forget to add more to marketing to your playlist so that you can hear some future fabulous guests.
More to marketing.